Hi, I'm Andy.
And I'm Chris, and we're an artist duo called Pansy Ass Ceramics, and we're based in Toronto, Canada.
Great. And can you tell us how you came about the name Pansy Ass?
So for the name, we wanted something that was cheeky, and we also felt like reappropriating slurs could bring us a bit of power. The name Pansy Ass has been lobbed at us a few times through our lives, and it's time to knock it back. The slur pansy is something we've always thought was sort of strange. It's this delicate little flower that is also extremely common. It's sort of in everyone's garden, and we thought this would be perfect for what we wanted to do.
It sounds lovely, Pansy Ass, like perfumey or something. I don't know. I love it. When you decided to use ceramics as your form of expression, the medium itself was what was it about the tactile part of that material? Like you could have painted, you could have photographed, but what made you think ceramics, sculptural work is where I want to be?
Yeah, we have always both been really just drawn to ceramics. Neither of us are formally trained. We have both been collectors in the past, but for this project we thought that ceramics and porcelain specifically has a really fascinating history, and we try to inject ourselves somewhere in that. When it was introduced to Europe from China, it was highly desirable and fetishized. But it's also this really luxurious, delicate, smooth clay body. And over time, it has played this really niche collecting role in domestic life. Porcelain figures are very collectible, and they can sort of speak to bring your personality into your home.
So were there any, when you were starting out, were there any artists or that inspired you, or as far as the subject matter, was there a movie or a poster or something that triggered you and said, perhaps this is what I want to do? Or
Sure, I mean, we're inspired by a ton of different artists, but really I kind of gravitate toward the modern artists of the 50s and 60s, and mostly painting. I mean, I do like some sculptural work. I love Klaus Oldenburg. He makes the large items, often displayed in courtyards, and he's in a ton of museums as well. But we love Andy Warhol and Keith Haring.
John Waters, really influential.
Yeah, John Waters and Divine, his films are really fun. They're campy, and they're always filled with bright colors and crazy subject matter. Also love, my two favorite painters are Edward Hopper and Wayne Thibault. They both do kind of sad and a bit lone. Their painting seems a bit lonely, but they often use pastel colors, which we really gravitate toward. But as far as movies, we love. My favorite movie is Behind the Candelabra. It's the film.
Liberace's story.
Yeah, the story of Liberace's partner.
Aesthetically, I think the film Pink Narcissus by is it James Biggood, right?
Yeah.
Really influential just in the color palette that we use and the ornamentation we go with in the work, especially when we're doing more of an installation.
The Hermes vase, the fountain, the pedestals, that sort of work. There's a lot of reference to some classical periods as well. Does any of these, like the Greeks, the Romans, the statuettes, the sculptural elements, does that influence anything, or does it appear? I mean, it appears in the work.
Yeah, so I think the classics for us is more of an aesthetic reference. It definitely celebrates the body and the male physique, but it can play both. We also do sometimes play into mythos and history. There's certain things like the Sacred Band of Thebes, which was an army of male lovers, and it was thought that the perfect warrior had like this emotional connection. The Spartan myth also is sort of based around that. So it's not a direct reference that we usually play with, but definitely an aesthetic.
One thing that we notice is throughout history, a lot of ceramics and sculptural work is there's really a sense of queerness to it, and that was always a bit of an underlying thing. Like I don't think they were forward about it. So yeah, we wanted to we're inspired by that, and we just like to play it up and put words from popular culture on things, just to kind of play with those ideas.
And as far as colors go, choosing your colors, mostly pastels and softer colors.
Yeah, we tend to create things with a bit of a femme aesthetic. Porcelain is white when fired, so we always have a blank white canvas to work on. So we do embellish a lot with florals and like pastel colors, sort of reminiscent of the 50s and 60s ceramics.
I also think that the soft tones make the subject matter more approachable. There's something about like really saturated colors that sort of maybe make it seem a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, a bit more aggressive and a bit more commercial.
So the you mentioned florals. Now there's a series in your new show, Delicious Embrace, that there's these cocks in the hands, but the pubic area is different flowers. You've got pansies and roses, and so how did you choose those flowers? Like, do they represent maybe like in the Victorian days they used to hide flowers and symbolism for certain messages? So do you feel like you had that in there?
Well, flowers in this case for us were more of a color consideration. In that series, we wanted to have a rainbow, but flowers definitely do have their own symbology. Like pansies, obviously for us. There's green carnations that we occasionally incorporate into the work, as well as the occasional rosebud.
Yeah, green carnations were a symbol of queerness in Oscar Wilde's day. I think he
invented the sign of wearing a green carnation.
Yeah.
Someone in the club.
It was kind of like wearing a pinky finger, a ring on your pinky finger.
Yeah. So there's, like you mentioned, some things where color and flowers like hide some of the subtleties and stuff. How do you find people react to your work? I mean, it is, say, quite graphic and very literal in some sense. So do you feel like, how is people's response? Like different groups read it differently, or has anybody ever been shocked and disgusted and like?
Absolutely.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
So tell me.
Well, I think people don't. If people aren't familiar with us and the work that we do, and they see it for the first time, they're not necessarily processing what they're looking at immediately. They're like taken off by like the shininess and the sort of finish of it. But then you can see it like in their face when they realize what they're looking at. It's either shock or it's like joy.
Yeah, we've had a few accidents where we've been in a gallery, had our work set up, and a lady came in with her child, and they were looking at all the pieces, and the kid was just innocently enjoying it, and then the mother realized what she was looking at and sort of scolded us and said, "Why didn't you tell me?" But I mean, I don't know, we didn't even think about it when they wanted
our
to.
kid.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't our kid, so we didn't care. But it does run the gamut. Some people are disgusted, and other people love it and think it's the funniest thing they've ever seen. So.
And do you feel like when you create the work, are you within your own zone in your own head, or do you think about people's reactions, or do you care even?
I don't think we think about people's reaction. No, we just kind of follow our instinct and do what we want to do.
I definitely try to avoid playing it safe. there are elements of our work that are definitely sexual in nature, and then there's more just campy, like more cultural things. But when I'm doing the sexual work, I try not to let more conservative thoughts on sexuality influence it all. People really respond better when it's more like in your face, and they can see it and they get off on it. I don't know.
Yeah, and just, I don't know, our favorite artists always invoked a little bit of grit. Like we're not really making art to make pretty items. We're making art to provoke thought and to demystify queer culture. And,
And so I want to thank Chris and Andy for joining us, and I hope that everybody enjoyed this small little conversation. We're in Kensington Market, so it's a little bit noisy, but the weather is beautiful, and we're at the Oud and the Fuzz, which is one of these amazing local pubs in the area. So we want to thank them for letting us use their space. And yeah, thank you very much to both of you. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.